Imagine pulling a lump of corroded bronze out of the ocean and realizing, after a century of confusion, that ancient humans had built something so advanced, so impossibly sophisticated, that nothing like it would be invented again for over 1,000 years. That device exists. It was found at the bottom of the sea, and it rewrote everything we thought we knew about the ancient world. This is the story of the Antikythera Mechanism, a device built roughly 2,100 years ago that modern engineers still struggle to fully comprehend. It was found in a shipwreck. It spent 2 millennia on the seafloor. And when scientists finally decoded what it could do, the history of human technology had to be rewritten from scratch. In the year 1900, a group of sponge divers caught in a storm sought shelter near the tiny Greek island of Antikythera. When the storm passed, they dove and discovered a Roman cargo ship lying on the seafloor. What they pulled up over the following months included bronze statues, glassware, jewelry, and one unremarkable lump of corroded bronze that nobody paid attention to at first. That lump of corroded bronze, roughly the size of a shoebox, sat in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens for years, largely ignored. Then researchers began to look more closely. Inside were gears, dozens of interlocking bronze gears of extraordinary precision. Gears that, by all logic of the ancient world, had absolutely no business existing. Scientists confirmed what seemed impossible. The Antikythera Mechanism is the oldest known mechanical analog computer ever discovered. And it did not just barely qualify for that title. It predated the next comparable geared device by over 1,000 years. Let that sink in. Over 1,000 years of silence. And then, suddenly, medieval Europe slowly started to catch up. The mechanism's internal engineering is staggering. At least 30 interlocking bronze gears survive in the existing fragments, and researchers believe the original device had significantly more. These were not rough, approximate gears. They were machined with a level of precision and miniaturization that matched the complexity of medieval cathedral clocks built over 1,000 years later in the 14th century. The craftsmanship alone is enough to make modern engineers genuinely uncomfortable. But here is where the story gets strange. This was not just a pretty clockwork ornament. This machine was a working astronomical computer, and it could do things that modern scientists find genuinely difficult to explain, given the era it came from. So what exactly could it do? The answer is going to keep building, because each function is more astonishing than the last. One of its primary functions was tracking the Metonic cycle, a 19-year cycle in which 235 lunar months align almost perfectly with 19 solar years. Ancient calendar makers used this to synchronize lunar and solar calendars, and the Antikythera Mechanism had a dedicated dial for it. Turn the dial and you could instantly know where the moon and sun stood relative to each other across a span of 19 years. But the Metonic Dial was only the beginning. The mechanism could also predict solar and lunar eclipses, using something called the Saros cycle. This is an 18-year repeating pattern of 223 lunar months, after which eclipses repeat in almost identical sequence. Ancient astronomers knew about this cycle, but encoding it into a mechanical device, making a machine that could physically point to future eclipses, that was something else entirely. Stay with me, because the next feature of this mechanism is the one that made researchers genuinely question what they thought they knew about ancient science. The moon does not travel in a perfect circle around the Earth. It moves faster sometimes and slower others, an irregular orbit that takes sophisticated mathematics to model. The Antikythera Mechanism solved this, and the solution it used is something no one expected to find from this era. To model the moon's irregular orbit, the ancient makers of this device invented something extraordinary, a pin-and-slot epicyclic gear system. This is a gear within a gear, one wheel mounted eccentrically on another, that causes the output to speed up and slow down in a mathematically precise way. exactly mimicking the moon's real behavior in the sky. This is confirmed as the earliest known use of an epicyclic gear in all of human history. Engineers would not rediscover this technique for over 1,000 years. If you are learning something genuinely new right now, and honestly, how could you not be, hit subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next on this channel. Because we are not even at the most mind-blowing part of this story yet. There is still the question of who built this, where it came from, and one feature of the mechanism so specific and so human that it changes how we understand the entire ancient world. Now here is the feature that stopped researchers cold when they decoded it. The Antikythera Mechanism had a dedicated dial for tracking the ancient Olympic Games. Not just the Olympics, at least 3 other Pan-Hellenic athletic festivals as well, all running on a 4-year cycle. Think about what that means. Whoever built this device did not just want to track the cosmos, they wanted to track human civilization too. The mechanism was housed in a wooden box, roughly 340 millimeters long, 180 millimeters wide, and 90 millimeters deep, the size of a shoebox. An object you could carry under your arm contained more astronomical computing power than anything else that would exist on Earth for the next millennium. It had dials on the front, dials on the back, and a hand crank to operate it. So who built it? That question has haunted researchers for over a century. Some scholars, including researchers associated with the Antikythera Mechanism research project, point toward the Greek island of Rhodes as its birthplace. The reasoning involves one of antiquity's most celebrated astronomers, Hipparchus, the genius who first mathematically modeled the moon's irregular orbit, the very same motion the mechanism so brilliantly encodes. The connection to Hipparchus is not just speculation. It is deeply embedded in the mechanism's mathematics. The lunar model encoded in those bronze gears uses parameters that align with Hipparchus's own astronomical theories. This was not some anonymous craftsman tinkering in a workshop. This device reflects the most sophisticated astronomical knowledge of the ancient world, translated into mechanical form with breathtaking precision. What you are about to hear was only fully confirmed as recently as 2021. And it is the part of this story that modern engineers find most humbling. After over a century of study, a team from University College London finally produced the first complete reconstruction of the mechanism's front plate, the face that displayed the full cosmological model. And what they found confirmed something almost too extraordinary to believe. The UCL team's reconstruction showed that the front of the mechanism displayed a fully moving model of the cosmos, the sun, the moon, and the known planets, all moving on concentric rings driven by those extraordinary bronze gears. This was not a static diagram. This was a functioning mechanical model of the solar system, hand-cranked and real, built 2,100 years ago by human hands with hand tools. And yet, the mechanism sat on the seafloor for over 2,000 years before a storm-blown group of sponge divers stumbled across it. For most of the 20th century, after it was recovered, experts could not agree on what it even was. It took X-ray imaging, advanced CT scanning, and decades of international collaboration to begin to understand it. And even now, scholars are still debating details of its reconstruction. This is a device so far ahead of its time that even modern science is still catching up to it. Here is what makes this truly staggering. And this is the thought that keeps historians up at night. The Antikythera Mechanism was not treated as a miraculous one-off wonder by the ancient Greeks who used it. References in ancient texts suggest that similar devices may have existed. Cicero wrote about a device built by Archimedes that modeled planetary motion. We have simply lost almost all of them. The Antikythera Mechanism may not be an anomaly. It may be a survivor. The real legacy of the Antikythera Mechanism is the question it forces us to ask. What else did the ancient world achieve that we simply have not found yet? We assume a clean line of progress, that technology marched steadily forward from primitive to advanced. This mechanism shatters that assumption, Brilliance does not follow a timeline. It can appear anywhere, in any era, and then vanish, leaving behind only the faintest corroded trace for future generations to find. If the Antikythera Mechanism just rewrote your understanding of the ancient world, then you are going to want to see what we have coming next. Our next video goes even deeper. More hidden discoveries, more impossible facts, more moments that make you question everything you thought was true about human history. Subscribe now and hit the bell so you do not miss it. The rabbit hole goes a lot deeper than you think.